anyway.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr Speaker, hands up all the members of this House who've realised in the last 48 hours that they are in possession of a foreign bank account with $100,000 in it, and that they had forgotten about, that they just suddenly remembered they had stashed away. Mr Speaker, David Shearer is the only member of the House who could put his hand up. And the offence here is not that he has a foreign bank account, not that he has $100,000 or more in that bank account, but that he flagrantly disregarded the standing orders of this House, disrespected this House for 4 years by not declaring it on his pecuniary interest register. And the question has to be why? Because the forgot answer doesn't wash. It's astonishing that the leader of a political party that pillories people for their wealth, pillories people for their memory lapse, is able to say that he just forgot at the same time that he's telling John Banks he should exit Parliament for receiving a $500 gift basket. Mr Speaker, that is typical of the double standard that we have come to know from the Labor Party and is now sanctioned, it would seem, by the leader himself. Mr Speaker, what would you be more likely to do, sir? Remember that you had $100,000 in a foreign bank account, or remember a small picture on the corner of a laptop screen at the start of a briefing? Because, Mr Speaker, what David Shearer has said is that the Prime Minister should have, or called him in fact a liar when he said he could not remember that small picture. Well, Mr Speaker, what we're seeing here today, over the last couple of days actually, is the extreme deception of David Shearer in not declaring that particular asset. And while his party members over there might like to sit there shaking their heads, sort of smiling, I don't think they've understood how offensive it will be to New Zealanders that someone is trying to hide a foreign asset. That is completely wrong and somewhat inexplicable. So, Mr Speaker, as I said earlier, it doesn't matter that he has a foreign bank account. It doesn't matter that he has a large sum of money in it, but it does matter that he forgot about it. It does matter that he decided year after year after year not to tell the Parliament that he had it. Mr Speaker, for someone to take the wrong turn on the motorway once is forgetful. To do it 4 times is plain stupid. And, Mr Speaker, that's the class that Mr Shearer has now put himself into. Mr Speaker, I think it's interesting, though, that he has this, I guess you'd say, habit of being forgetful. He forgot who the painter was on the roof who had the benefit that he was saying should have been off the roof and doing something else. He forgot about that. He forgot about the video that he said everyone existed, told everyone existed, didn't exist. So this forgetfulness has been sort of a hallmark of him. But I don't think, sir, it's a forgivable thing. Mr Speaker, it's also interesting to note that when Mr Shearer, who sets such high standards, received the Auditor General's report into the, what's it called here, the decision by the Honourable Shane Jones to grant citizenship to Mr Liu, that he actually, by the time he got to the end of it, decided there was nothing in here to worry about, and then he would go out to the public and say it all showed nothing. I think he forgot the most important part of that report right at the start, which is where the Auditor General says that they were not able to investigate any of the accusations or allegations made against Mr Liu. Therefore, they were not able to investigate all of those suggestions that there was something untoward in the way in which this particular case was dealt with. That they couldn't look in to see why was it that just 4 hours after receiving an official information request, Mr Jones had the officials in his office, the information on the table and the information in the hands of Mr Liu the following day. Short time after that, makes the decision that despite the advice from his officials, he's going to grant the citizenship, and then a day later Mr Liu is dragged into the Parliament, paraded in the government caucus room and given his citizenship.
Grant
Two
Robertson.
words for that member, or it may actually be one word: Transrail. Transrail shares. If that member wants to get